Welcome back to Riding Bikes in San Diego. We are on Fairmount, which is a familiar setting for some people who watch this channel. We're heading towards Montezuma, but you could also go towards Grantville. We have this bike lane with some flex posts, and usually it's an okay route. A lot of people comment on this channel that I'm riding on the side of a freeway, and that's funny and noticeable. This is an expressway technically. It's not a freeway, but we're not supposed to ride bikes on freeways, interstates, and all that. But you'll notice that traffic is backed up here, and usually that's pretty funny because people driving cars want to be going faster than people riding bicycles. They want to put their cars in the bike lanes like this person, and well, just hold on a second while I get around them.
Nice bike!
Anyway, it's usually pretty funny for us to be going through traffic, and usually it's at rush hour, or it's because people are rubbernecking some crash, some fender bender or something like that. Maybe a ladder falls into the bike lane, or rather into the road or something like that. Sometimes there's something else happening up the road. They've pulled somebody over, but the police are slowing down the traffic, bringing it to a halt. Nevertheless, it's usually amusing because drivers want to be going faster than people riding bicycles, but when they have to sit here and beat traffic, we get to go faster, and that's fun for us because the people who usually have dominance on the road become the butt of the joke, and we just know that they're looking at us like annoyed because how dare we on two wheels propelling ourselves get around them. But I don't want to laugh at this. In the moment, I was feeling pretty good about it, but this is not funny at all because I find out after this that this traffic is being caused by death. So what happened is that there was a crash on the 8 freeway where a 19-year-old died. His name was Devontae Morris, and apparently some kind of overturned vehicle, and it was at like 10:30 the night before. But the problem is worse than just one person dying, and one person dying in traffic violence is absolutely horrible. But an off-duty police officer from La Mesa named Laura Craven stopped, and when she was trying to help, she was struck by a driver and died on the scene. So this whole area was shut down because of these two deaths, and that's absolutely horrible. I'm specifically mentioning Devontae Morris also because most articles you'll find about this are not mentioning the name of that driver. Instead, they're mentioning the name of the police officer, which I did also. But the police officer's death is getting far more attention. I want to talk about that in just a moment, but what we're looking at right here, all the traffic that I went through on Fairmount and now all the traffic on Montezuma, what we're looking at is a failure of our entire design for how we get around our cities. Okay, it is really astonishing that a single crash that involves death on the freeway can completely upend traffic in the whole area for miles around. It ripples through. It just so happens where the crash happened is right by entrances. It's between the 805 freeway and the 15, and we have a network, but the network is only so robust. There are only so many options. We have a lot of canyons in San Diego. Often there's really only one efficient way to go somewhere, and not a lot of other options. And I think that when death like this happens, when there's a tragedy, it's a reminder that we have designed a system that can very easily constrain us. It can very easily make people late for work, late for school, late for daycare, dropping people off. It's really it's a weird system that we created where one thing going wrong can cause so much to collapse. riding the bicycle shows me that that this can happen. If you're sitting in your car in traffic, it's rough. And actually, this is coming up on a year ago. Actually, when I'm making this video, it's a year and a day. But on Halloween of 2024, there was actually a fire in the canyon to the right of me, and it locked up traffic. Of course, this could not be driven on, and emergency responders were there. But for miles around, rippling out, there were just no other options. And I think that from a broad view, we need to accept the fact that we have designed our cities around quite strange limitations. We've counted on, these giant roads working, but if one of them fails, it really messes the rest of us up. That's the point I want to make. And traffic death is horrible, okay? I'm talking about the death of these two people on the 8, but over 40,000 people a year die by traffic violence. So, it's a tragedy, but this is a tragedy that happens all the time. Here's what I find strange, though, and I don't have footage of that. We're just going to keep going up Montezuma here towards SDSU. A week later, I'm riding, I do my commute, I get to my job, and I walk in, and a bunch of my colleagues are like, "Man, that traffic is wild, huh?" And I was like, I was on Lake Murray, I didn't really see much traffic. It seemed like a normal day. Turns out that a week after this happened, there was a funeral procession for the officer who died responding to Devontae Morris's death by a driver on the freeway. And it was a 700-car funeral procession that went from Mission Valley out to Rancho San Diego. And they did it during morning rush hour on a Tuesday, and there was no notification that I saw. My job, which is a pretty large college in the area, was unaware of it, and people got delayed like hours. It took a drive that usually takes 15 minutes took some people I knew that day an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. They completely shut down the freeway when they did this. They shut down multiple freeways. They left from Snapdragon, and it shut down the 8, the 125, and the 94 freeways, and just completely decimated people's ability to get places. And I understand there is a lot of grief and mourning when a 25-year-old police officer, is killed, and a lot of people respond to that, and it is a horrible thing. There's no minimizing that at all. But to celebrate and honor somebody who died on the freeway by jamming up the freeways with the funeral procession has an irony to it that doesn't sit right with me. It feels like it's in bad taste. It's like if somebody died from eating like a chicken bone a week later, going out and getting a bunch of buckets of chicken to celebrate. It just feels like a strange thing to me. But this says a lot of things about our society. I think it speaks to the dependence we have on cars, the way that culturally we will not question our relationship to the car, and we will not really acknowledge the dangers that driving faces, and the dangers of building a system that encourages, and in some cases feels like it requires people to spend the money on a personal vehicle and move that around as if it's completely normal. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Driving is not normal. It's not normal to invest thousands of dollars a year into having a giant metal, plastic, and glass box that can go places very quickly. It's a strange thing. it's an odd phenomenon. It's even more strange to have that with like a screen inside that's distracting you while you're going 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. And just as I'm sitting in this traffic, as I'm going through riding, I mean, I'm okay, of course. And all these people sitting in traffic are okay too. But let's face it, some of them are missing out on pay. When there's a funeral procession of over 700 vehicles that is delaying people by hours, I start to wonder how many of those people sitting in traffic unexpectedly are hourly employees. It makes me feel like the law enforcement agencies in the area in this procession are reaching into the pockets of people who need their hourly wage and removing an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of pay. And it just doesn't feel right. It feels strange to me. Again, I'm sitting on the bike, I'm okay with it, but from now on, when I pass a bunch of traffic, a bunch of drivers standing still or going slow, I have to wonder, did something terrible happen? And I hope it didn't. And that's one of the things I'm going to think about while I drive less and ride a bike. Thanks.